CIO of Cinnova's $60 billion bank out of Georgia. We're getting ready to double ourselves to 120 billion. Very excited about that. But I manage all of the technology functions and streams within technology. So.
Hello everyone, Dominic Savio, CEO and founder of Relevance, a technology service provider primarily focusing on fintech engineering. And thanks for having me here. And we have done some AI solution for some of the fintech customers that we have. And I hope I can share that experience and the challenges that what we are facing. And we are not expert in anything, but definitely we are learning it together. I'll be happy to join this.
Thank you, Dominic. Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Shetty. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for a company called Avid Exchange. Funny you just said about merging. We're actually going through acquisition right now, going private from being public. What Avid does is we are on the accounts payable automation space. What that means is we make sure that your suppliers, your partners get paid as a part of this, and mid-market is our sweet spot. And love to talk about what we are going to speak about today, because AI is a big part of what we're doing. But yeah, looking forward to the panel.
Hi, my name is Surya Vidula. I'm responsible for the banking, financial services, and industry vertical at Medaro, which is an IT services company with a product-centric mindset, and having that is essential as you build solutions out. I'm looking forward to sharing some of our experiences as we bring these valuable solutions to our customers and try to identify pathways of integrating this new technology in, talking about how we would have to imagine new solutions of the future which can be built on this new platform that's just becoming available to all of us.
Okay, I think we don't have enough mics, so I will talk from here. So according to PwC, a 2025 report, 63% of financial institutions increased AI investments in the past year. So, Vikram, AI is being hyped across every industry. What specific problems is AI solving in fintech right now? What does AI in fintech mean in your organization's context?
Yeah. So I'll talk from a financial services background. Banking is part of it. Currently in financial services and banking, I would say our focus has been around operational efficiencies. That's been a key place where we're trying out AI in many different ways and trying to solve that. We've also extended towards customer experience, not directly, but indirectly based on how the operational processes are being enhanced using AI. And as you know, for us in financial services, the risk organization is a very important org within our company, within our bank. So we're very methodical in what we do. We ensure that our guardrails are within what risk defines in terms of not creating bias and things like that. And that is the area that we're really focusing on for the past 2 years. We've really grown from purely just an exploratory organization to a really put together AI COE in our company that's actually looking at multiple different things across operations. And the timing is great for us. Now with the merger coming on, we're going to really apply those learnings into how we're going to speed up the merger in terms of system synergies and so forth.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Sure. No, as a service provider, we are also seeing on top of the operational efficiency as well as the personalization in terms of the customer service. Another thing that all the CTOs and CIOs are pushing is that how can we adopt developer productivity using AI technologies, right? So the co-pilot has been a mantra across the board. Every CTO is asking for 20% productivity and so forth using co-pilot or cursor, and even frameworks like pre-led or lovable. These are all the tools they are asking us to use to make sure that we can be productive. So there is another fintech focus that what we are seeing across the board.
I was going to say AI is definitely having its time in the sun right now. Like there's a hype, but there is also some good things. I think you said efficiencies, but even on the product side, we're seeing opportunities from a customer perspective, right? Especially we're on the accounts payable side. So it takes a lot of time on our customers' users to go back and figure out what things are happening within their invoices, for example. But, sorry. So AI can be a really good way for you to come back and really accelerate that kind of thing, right? To go back and say, let me get that data without you having to go through that. So that is a lot that we're also providing from a customer perspective. Like anything else, there has to be the guardrails to make sure we're not going back and providing you false information, hallucinations, and all of that. But there's a lot that we can get out of AI.
Absolutely. Thank you, Krish. All right. So according to NVIDIA's financial services report from last year, 92% of financial institutions are either experimenting with or investing in AI. And this was last year, so 92% was last year, so over 100% is investing this year. So, Surya, what is the biggest misconception you've heard about AI in fintech?
Not with fintech, yes, but with tech in general, the biggest misconception is procurement departments, sourcing departments, and a lot of stakeholders are expecting that there would be a drastic reduction in overall total cost of ownership of solutions. And I don't think that's going to happen, because what it brings to us is new possibilities. What is essential is a new workforce, a better skilled workforce with domain knowledge and technology coming together. So the existing technology worker will have to reskill, which means the cost of ownership will not necessarily go down. What will go up, however, is the number of story points or productivity per unit time. Your time to market will probably decrease and can decrease. The rate at which you can produce and the speed at which you can compete will probably all improve. But if we are expecting that cost of ownership of building something will go down, that's not going to happen, because we will compete faster, we will adopt faster. We will not necessarily say, hey, this is the budget I have and I'm going to try to do the same old thing with the less money that I have. Being humans as we are, we will try to push the boundaries of what we have.
Thank you, Surya. Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think what we are hearing is that, hey, AI is ready-made and it's off the shelf, it's a plug and play. We can bring it and then you can see the results in 2 weeks. That is the kind of conversation sometimes we are hearing from our customers. And we all know that that is not true. First of all, there is no data pipeline in the organization even to think about it. So we all hear that hype, but we need to be patient and to adopt and invest into the technology. And that is what again, people are saying that some companies are saying that they have achieved so much, but we need to be understanding that it is not imminent. And it is not universal. Every company is unique. Their business processes, their data management, everything is unique. So we need to be patient to absorb and adopt, and that is what I think is the reality.
Just one more thing that I'd like to say is that I get this a lot, that why do you need programmers when there's AI? I think that's the biggest misconception that is going around. Absolutely, there's going to be efficiencies in the SDLC cycle with AI coming in, but I think it's going to complement what the programmers do today. And I think people have jumped based on what Satya Nadella says or Mark Zuckerberg says, that there'll be programmers no more in the organization, but that's a long way away. And I think that's a big misconception that we all, as CIOs and CDOs, get asked by our CFOs. Oh, AI is there, why don't you cut your team by half? Right? So,
Code with AI and cut your costs. Yeah, a lot of misconceptions there are for sure. Dominic, where have you seen AI succeed and where has it fallen short?
Yeah, I know AI has been there. Definitely some of the success stories that we have, where we are already seeing a ROI on the AI investment. For a mortgage firm, we developed kind of a document AI management system that can extract information from standard and the non-standard documents, so that they can do the processing and enabling the underwriters to do their approval process very quickly. Definitely, they were able to save a lot of time and manual labor, and they were able to fast track the application process and complete the entire applications. So that is definitely a great ROI for the mortgage firm. And also, we are working on another project where currently this is like an investment firm. So there are around 100,000 kind of dormant retail investors who are not active. So how do I reach all these kind of customers? So we are writing a kind of conversational hyper personalized agents using a Gemini platform, and it is very kind of educational, as well as it is also very empathetic in a way. It helps the retail investors to understand the scenario. So we are trying to adopt this technology. Again, it's a work in progress, but we are seeing a great ROI, because reaching 100,000 customers is not easy. But using technology like AI, where we can definitely reach them out, and we are working on the project. So these are the two scenarios that where we see a great ROI already. Yeah.
Thank you, Dominic. So the next question we want to tackle is, what is the most promising revenue generating or cost saving AI applications in fintech right now? I want to start answering that a little bit on my end. With most of our Think Tech Mode clients, we are seeing real-time anomaly detection is a huge demand in project requests we're getting. Automated dispute handling, claim data extraction tools, or auto-resolving chargebacks are definitely in high demand. And also on the embedded finance with upsell engines, where AI is predicting when to offer different types of loans or insurance policies that may benefit to the customer based on their usage patterns. So I will also follow this question, direct this question to Vikram as well. Vikram, what do you think?
For us, from a revenue generating perspective, we're not really looking into it. Frankly speaking, it's more around operational efficiencies. Like I said, it could create an indirect revenue generation opportunity, only because you increase the customer experience, the customers are happy, so they stay with us, retention is better, and so forth. But for us in financial services, we're very focused on operations, right? And as you know, in banking, a lot of these processes, you mentioned underwriting, our processes are very outdated. It's painful to an extent, right? Go try buying a car or a house, it takes forever to do that. So we see those opportunities there a lot within financial services. So I think for us, that'll be the focus for the coming years. And yes, the SDLC process, how do you do better, how do you build platforms faster, is also another pattern we're seeing. But we're also relying on the big guns like the Salesforce, ServiceNows of the world that are embedding those features within their products for us to kind of use that. So I would say in financial services, purely operational, revenue generation is something that you guys can talk about.
I think on the revenue generation side, it's back to customer value, right? So if you're saving something for the customer, and I'll give you an example. In our case, there is a lot of in the AP side. Anyone who's doing AP work, you realize you got to match your PO to your invoices. And if you're doing hundreds of thousands of invoices on a daily basis, that's crazy, right? You feel like you need to quit your job. And that's what we heard from one of our customers, is like, I'd rather go home. But those are some of the places that we're seeing opportunities to help them do that. So it's an efficiency play, but someone is willing to actually pay for that, right? And then a couple of other things on the efficiency side that we also do, all our payments today that we make, especially on the IVR side, is driven by AI. So the IVR makes the call, puts in your credit card number, so on and so forth. Those are services that customers are willing to pay for. And the third one that we're seeing is, I think you spoke about onboarding a little bit. It's faster to revenue, right? So I'm able to bring folks faster onto my platform or into your offering is also a way that you're leveraging AI to get there. And AI is helping you a lot on some of that. So those are mainly at least revenue generating opportunities that we're seeing from a product standpoint.
That's great. Krish, while we're with you there, how are you measuring ROI on AI? And what time horizons are realistic?
I really love that question because we're going through acquisition right now. We're going private from being a public company, like I mentioned. And like everything else, your private owners are always going to be like, hey, how are you going to make sure AI works for you? Right? What is the ROI? Why are you spending so much on this? Couple of things. I think on the efficiency side within your organization, I do want to come back and say with the rest of the panelists that it's not a magic bullet. So you have to put in effort, and the biggest effort is on the people side, right? So for you, the measurement, or at least for us, the measurement that we've seen is to go back and say, how is AI really enabling people to do more? But we also realize that there is a education part to this, which is you have to go back and tell people how is this going to change what you're doing today. Because fundamentally, in some cases, for example, being a programmer or a developer, it is going to be different on how you approach that. So in that case, all of your standard engineering metrics that you had, which is whether there's cycle time and lines of code, all of those are great signals that absolutely should measure. I don't think you should take any one of them to go back and say, hey, does this really mean that we are in AI or we are experts? No. All of those together, the signals together, are going to tell you a story. On the customer side, what we found out has worked, again, it's very similar. We usually release our new features the way we call it dark launches, which is we push it out there without really impacting the customer. And in that case, we're looking for typical metrics that a customer is looking at. How much time does it take you to do this? How many invoices do you have to approve? How are you paying that? And typically, once you have that data, and you can go back and tell the customer that, hey, we're going to allow you to do this, or here's the value proposition, is the best way for you to get ROI. Those are real numbers that you can set up to make sure you can get there. So a few ways of doing it.
Few ways, but yes, it's definitely
It's a work in progress. I think as we're going through every one of these steps, we find out new things.
Yes. So, in 2023, McKinsey report, AI-powered credit risk models outperform traditional ones by up to 15% in default prediction. So again, this was from 2 years ago, and it's probably more like 50% default prediction by now. So let's talk a little bit about regulation, risk, and ethical use. Vikram, how are you navigating the regulatory landscape around AI use in lending, fraud detection, or compliance?
And you said McKinsey published that article? About
McKinsey, yes.
I'd love to talk to them at some point. Our credit risk analyst will be really thrilled to hear that. But anything related to credit risk and so forth, I mean, AI, there's an element of randomness to it, right? Anytime that's there, the risk folks, the finance, accounting folks are not going to like it because the next time you say something, it's going to be different. They can't quite translate that into how it's going to be stable for them, for their business, and so forth. So, in our financial services industry, we're super methodical about this. We have a risk department that has what we call the model risk management team that basically looks at everything that we do from a generative AI perspective, makes sure that things are within those guardrails, tests out. Even when we launched Copilot within our bank, we had to go through that team because privacy was in question. And when you start looking at bigger topics like credit risk, underwriting, and so forth, it could cause a bias in terms of who you're actually approving a loan for. So, again, to your point, Krish, this is an art right now. There's no science behind it, even though Gen AI is science. But we're trying to figure that part on where it stops, where it ends, and so forth. So far, I think bigger financial institutions are seeming to push it through even more faster, and we're kind of trying it out, trial and error, because unless our regulators are good with it, we're not going to be able to go with speed. So we're really trying and showing them this is what we do. And so far, the 2-year journey that we've had within Synovus, we've been able to launch products like a chat PFP product and a few other things within it where it's adding value. But we're very methodical and very careful in terms of what this could impact downstream. So.
All right, Krish, let's go to you. What are your thoughts on responsible AI in financial services, and how do you build guardrails against bias? What frameworks are you using to ensure ethical, explainable, unbiased, or bias-free AI?
I'm gonna kind of go off of what Vikram said here too. So if you don't have your governance, AI is not gonna fix it for you. So that's just the bottom line. And then if we are unable to explain why you're getting the result that you need, again, that's going to be something that either your regulators, if you're a regulated industry, or your customers are not going to. I mean, they might initially get on with the hype, but if you're not able to explain, you don't have observability on what's going on, it's going to come back and bite you. So from a framework standpoint, I mean, there's a lot that you can do. Your data governance frameworks are going to help. They're no different, because if you're feeding AI bad data, it's only going to amplify it. If you're going to give it the wrong context, it is only going to amplify whatever is the incorrectness that's in there. The other thing is also how much context, right, that you're providing to your AI. So as far as frameworks are concerned, your data governance frameworks that you have are absolutely important. What data you feed, how quickly can you get data to your AI to give it the context is important. The second thing that we've seen from a framework standpoint that's helped is really we have an internal governance team. We call it the AI Center of Excellence. Really every part of new software, because again, that is the hype, right? If you're talking to your marketing teams, they're usually the first who want to get 6 different types of software that do the exact same thing. And that's something that you want to make sure there's no sprawl, right? There's Cursor, there's Copilot, there's about Whisper, there's about 8 things that happen here. So having that kind of governance is going to help. And then the learning part of it on how you make sure your teams, the people who are using it, go through the right kind of training is another important part. This is, through all of this, I want to say about 12 to 18 months that we've been going through this process, the people part of it is the most important thing. If we don't have our teams prepared, then this is going to be a hell of a journey.
Absolutely. I would add, building strong test harnesses and keeping the human element in the center of it all as well, and automating your guardrails and identifying what those guardrails AI will operate within are the most important.
I was gonna say, Eileen, I know you guys consult with a lot of people on this, you're doing
Absolutely.
with companies around that, so.
Yeah, I think Techno definitely provides the necessary testing guardrails and some customers are thinking about getting rid of, quality control. And like Krish is saying, keeping that governance in place and establishing a center of excellence, operating measures are absolutely a key, preventing or identifying when your models are drifting or becoming biased.
Eileen, I just wanted to say that we are talking about AI and it offers us one opportunity, but there are a series of other technologies that are coming in. And we have a true opportunity to reimagine almost everything the way it is going to be served.
Absolutely.
So when we look at something and say, here's an AI model, we're trying to govern it in today's context with today's knowledge. But if you reimagine many things, you'll have to reimagine the governance frameworks also that go with it. And I think we should look at it holistically and take the opportunity and the investments that we are making to reimagine just about how the entire interaction solves for customer experiences, obviously using sources of data, new ones and existing ones that we have, while we lower the total cost of ownership. The increased focus on SDLC and the immediate ROI might actually, if that focus continues to remain, we may be cheated of an opportunity of true change of experiences that we can have overall as a society.
So I agree with you, Surya. Thank you. Dominic, AI is only as good as data. How is your business cleaning, labeling, protecting sensitive financial data for AI models?
I think one thing has not changed, which is garbage in, garbage out. And that still holds true, in spite of all the journey that we came across. So data is the key, and I know what we hear from many of our customers is that they park the data, somehow. But we need to create a data pipeline to be very effective in the whole AI world. So that's where maybe many of us would have already heard about it. How do we create a pipeline? The step 1, step 2, step 3. It's very simple. You identify the nature of the structure of the data, which might be structured or unstructured or semi-structured or even real-time data. So how do I categorize them in their format? That's a step 1. And the step 2 is how do I label and make sure that there is this data stewardship. That's the second step. And the third step is cataloging the entire data in terms of compliance. That's one of the major things. Maybe de-identification, applying all the compliance-related information. And then once we do that, that's where you may be able to decide whether we use the data to kind of train our model, or you want to use this kind of data as a RAG for your further generation of information later. So there are a lot of categorically we have to park this data. So data management is the key. I know I cannot cover a lot of things that what we are doing, but that is one of the major steps that what we need to do in order to benefit the AI possibilities. As we are all hearing, especially on the fintech, the trust is very, very important, right? And when you want to the entire enterprise is built on the trust. So we have to be very careful in terms of the decisions that AI is making or possibly making in the future. So when we have the right data with the data pipeline, there are a lot of technologies. Many of you might know already. Like Microsoft has got Fabrics, and Google has got data flow. It's an Apache, Airflow. There are so many things like that. So we adopted for one of our customers in the whole on a data engineering process, where we were able to create a kind of a co-pilot augmentation platform for a kind of a portfolio managers, where it can help them to make the decision in terms of buying and selling. Again, these are all the possibilities. One of the things that what we are seeing is that, especially in the fintech industry, that that we don't want to use AI for decision making. It's only for augmentation. It's a kind of force multiplier. And that is a kind of methodology that we are adopting so far with our customers. Because that is helping, because the decision is not made by AI, but all this process enables them to have some information or some recommendation so that they can make the decision. So human mind share and in the decision making is very important in the fintech, and that is how we see, that's there. The data is where everything starts. So we need to clean up the data, bring that under manageable data pipeline, and then we can take it to your data models or whatever you want to call. Yeah.
Thank you, Dominic. I would also I'd like to drop in a couple of products that are very useful in cleaning data, like Scale AI or Snorkel AI for labeling, or tools like Big ID, Immuta, OneTrust, or Microsoft's Purview for compliance and protecting sensitive financial data. So just some of the tool names that to keep in mind. So Krish, what are the opportunities to use legacy infrastructure with real-world implementation of AI? And can we move forward without full replacement? And can you walk us through what worked and what didn't in your case?
Sure. So your question on, do we need an absolute modern data infrastructure? Probably the answer is no. You don't have to wait, because that's a long journey. If you want to go back to relabeling, moving to a more modern platform, it's going to take a long time. There are ways that today it's enabled for you to provide data. At the end of the day, the way we think about it is it's context that you're providing to the models. So how best to get the data to the models? I know there's some things like MCPs, model context protocols, all of these that allow you to really provide the right kind of data to your model so that you can do that. The one thing to remember though is I don't want to call it the accuracy, but the output that you get, again, will depend on the context. That's what you're hearing from everyone here, right? So do not skip the testing process. Do not skip the validation process. So trust but validate everything that you're doing as a part of this. The context that you're providing, the more context, the better context that you're going to provide, the better output you're going to get as a part of that, the better outcomes that you're going to get as a part of that. So the journey for an organization to get onto a more modern architecture or a better data governance should continue. But do we have to wait for that entire thing to be done and sequence it that way? That has not been our experience. You can start now. You do have to be careful. You do have to validate at every step.
Yeah, so maybe a phased approach, right? Introducing AI in phases, replacing your legacy infrastructure in phases would be recommended. So Vikram, how has AI changed customer experience in banking, investing, or payments?
That's work in progress right now. And like I said before, we're focused on the back-end processes, and we're expecting that the enhancement of those processes is going to get us a better experience in the front end. We're not going to go and put an AI model right in front for all of our consumers that are dealing with their checking accounts or saving accounts, right? We're not ready yet. But the things that we're doing in the back end absolutely is going to help us in our front end systems for a while. And it's going to be gradual in terms of how that's going to be, at least from a banking perspective I'm talking about. But same thing for investment, right? We're not ready yet. It's going to be highly regulated, even more than a certain retail bank at this point, because we're playing with real money. But that's going to be the next phase for us to kind of see how we can actually build an ROI around customer experience, retention, and so forth.
Thank you. Awesome. Surya, are customers becoming aware of when they are interacting with AI versus humans, and should they be?
I think they should be, but are they becoming aware all the time? I don't think that is actually true. The reason you should be aware is, depending on the firm that you are and the trust that you want your customers to place in you, full disclosure is essential. And also in the design of these systems, it's going to be essential to have a process of either A, appealing something, or cutting over to a human if you need to. A lot of these things, in my mind, are product management decisions that we would have to make. I'm sure many of you have experienced that you get stuck in an IVR loop, never able to get to a human. So we don't want to be there, although thinking we're talking to humans at points in time where you don't have any future course of action available to you. So it's a design choice, obviously, at the end of the day, that different companies will make differently based on cost of process, the nature of the process. Let's say you're ordering food through an IVR, that might still be all right, or through an agent and things like that. But if you were looking at your bank accounts, I would definitely want the process to know, you just denied me a loan, can I just talk to someone? And I was probably looking at an automated decision engine with, I think, better and more empathetic customer services behind it, not like the ones that we see today. And yeah, so I truly think we should reimagine some of these things.
Sounds good. Thank you, Surya. So according to Accenture's reports, 60% of customers say AI agents improve their satisfaction in banking. Vikram, what's the next frontier for AI in fintech? Autonomous finance, explainable AI, AI agents, what do you think?
I don't think I agree with Accenture in the first place. Because to Surya's point, there's context, right? Like we were thinking about putting AI agents for our dispute process. The consumer is already super pissed when they come to us, right? And you give them an automated AI agent that answers the same questions, won't work. So it's a product choice in terms of what we do in these things. But what's the next for you? What was your second question?
So what's the next frontier in AI in fintech? Autonomous finance, explainable AI, AI agents?
I think AI agents and a very internal operational side of things is what we're exploring right now. And most of speaking to the CIOs of bigger banks, that's where they're focused on because of the risk factor in our business. And that'll continue to scale. And we've got a lot of these processes that probably require AI. That once we settle down on that, that's when we get comfortable on the other side of the thing. And I don't think we would go, maybe retail, food and industry, they could possibly go, but not for fintech, I feel. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Krish, maybe you can add with your
Sure.
next question.
And I think, Surya, you brought up an important point, which was the empathy part of it, right? So I don't think we have the empathy part of it yet from an AI perspective. So that's a big piece missing. Not saying that it's not going to get there, but I also believe decisioning is a big part. We all spoke about human in the loop. Today, almost every process that you have, there is a human in the loop because there is that extra validation step that you want to go back. Even our conversations with our customers has been, no, I want to be a part of this loop. I know you can make the decision. I'm sure the AI can make the decision, but I want to be informed. I want to be there to say, yes, this is where it is. So that part in the way I'm looking at it is going to continue for some time because we as users also need to get conditioned to it, to where we are comfortable interacting with AI agents and then being comfortable to letting them take decisions. So I do believe decision making is probably the next future thing based on great context that we can provide to the AI agents, but I think there is a level of technology that needs to go up, but there is a level of, us as humans, as individuals, getting conditioned and being more comfortable.
Yeah, just adding to that I think Vikram brought up, right? It's a regulated industry. We need to explain every decision that what we make. And that's where, the next wave where we need to build the trust means, we need to create explainable AI. And that is where a lot of technology research and all those things are going on. So when we know that we can explain the reasons why we took the decision, then the game can change completely for any industry, especially for fintech industry. So explainable, AI is the next wave that we are expecting to make a big dent into the fintech industry.
All right. So according to BCG, 80% of banks say cost reduction is the top benefit they've seen from AI. With that said, AI in fintech isn't just about faster systems, it's about trust, data, and people. The real measure of success. Sorry, it wasn't set to make a noise. Right. The real measure of success won't be how advanced our models are, but how responsible and human-centered we make them. So let us not have AI replace human beings, but reimagine the future and how we can impact financial services to cater to people better. So with that said, are there any questions from the audience? Okay. Any closing statements from the panel? There is one. There we go.
Just wondering, because you were talking about having explainable decisions, can you just use a second agent to explain the first agent's decision?
That's a good question. Sometimes we use a triangulation to validate the scoring, right? The confidence score can improve if you use a triangulation. So similar to that, we can use agent to agent, right? And that's where I know I don't want to go there. Even the software itself may be reimagined in the future. That's how we are thinking. Because if you use testing for AI for testing and AI for developing, and who is going to do the real validation of the functionality that what we are building? So it's so many things are I don't know the answer to be frank, but these are all the questions that pops up to us as well. Why can't I use agent to test each other? But there will be a day, we are all hoping for that, where we can make sure that when we say that we can explain the reason. That's a problem. We are all used to the world of zeros and ones, right? Now everything is a probability and it is not repeatable. So how can I make sure that it happens again in the repeatable way? So where we can apply is the patterns where we can make sure that it happens for sure, but otherwise it's very difficult right now. So
can you repeat the question?
And the question was how why not create another AI agent to verify the first AI agent's outcomes? So
I was going to say, then how are you going to validate the second agent score?
Yeah.
And the third.
Or I would say.
Explaining is different than validating.
It is, you're right. And I'm not saying that's what you should do, because that is, as humans, we're not perfect either, so our decision making is not
But
greatest.
that's the logical
Right.
evolution of all of
Correct.
this, right? I think
It's an evolution.
Yeah, it's an evolution, and we've got to validate a lot.
that's where sometimes you question, what do you mean by explainable? We developed that AI models. How come we cannot explain that, right? It's very simple, that crosses our mind. But that's where I see that I know as when I was a programmer, the recursive algorithms, that what we created, it is so simple. But when you have a complicated scenario, you cannot track back and then figure out or find out manually, hey, why this decision was made, why this end condition was applied. It's very similar to in the AI models these days, because we invented that, but we created so many variables and parameters that that works as a magic, but we cannot go back and trace it out why the decision was made. So that's where there is a new technology insertion that is coming up in the near future. So hopefully that will help us to figure it out.
And it's not about just explaining, but it's more about defining the guardrails that AI Agent 1 is going to operate within. Right? So defining those guardrails is going to be the key versus explainability, because that's a never-ending loop that we don't want to get into. So, okay, any other questions? Go ahead. Go ahead. Was there one?
So where do you think the responsibility for finding the sources of internal innovation are? Is it the technical team who look at the business operations? responsibilities on the P and L owners to say, hey, I'm an accounting owner, these are the processes that suck, technical team, help me out. Where do you think that ownership needs to lie?
I think it's a combination. I think it's a business owner, a product owner that bossily sees all these things. I'm sure they're taking care of the roadmap of their products and they see something and say, can I use AI to do this? That's where it usually starts. But then if it's a true technical domain where I'm trying to go and get code done in X percentage lesser time, then it's probably just the architects and the engineers that would come up with that. So depends on the use case.
I was gonna say, you still need to define the problem statement. So it doesn't matter, because you don't wanna have a bunch of technologists go back and solve for something that does or does not exist. So whether it is, joint for sure, I think the opportunity is to reimagine and look at it from a AI lens, right? Same problem, different solution.
Thank you.
Yeah, but during the transition period, I think, having a AI strategy expert in the mix would be beneficial. So, yeah.
Are financial institutions today scared of malicious agents, that they will gain power and do deeper hacking?
You've got to have an eye on that for sure. I mean, the amount of phishing from a CISO perspective, our CISO is really, really very careful about all of this stuff. So we're getting like calls that emulates exactly what our CEO says, the tone, the accent. So absolutely, we've got to, that's the other side of AI, right? So we've got to figure out. So we'll get another second AI agent to go figure that out.
He got a job now.
I mean, where the future is going is all the technologists or any SME is going to end up becoming the HR of that agent that that is now doing their job, but in a faster way. But the people, the human element, will be the guardrail defining the source of truth, if you will. So with that said, any other questions? We're out of time. This was a great panel. I would like to thank our experts on the panel for a great session. Thank you for the audience for amazing questions, and thank you for showing up at our panel today. So feel free to meet the folks on the panel after this.